In 2024, one man spent $300 million to influence who became president of the United States. Not a political party, not a coalition. One single billionaire.
And here's the kicker. It was completely legal. In fact, 72% of Americans, left, right, center, doesn't matter, think this is insane and should be illegal. But it's not. Because in 2010, the Supreme Court made a decision that fundamentally changed how American democracy works. They declared that spending unlimited money on elections is free speech. And suddenly, billionaires could buy influence on a scale that would make robber barons blush.
Today, I'm going to show you exactly how this happened, who benefits from keeping you in the dark about it, and why understanding campaign finance is the key to understanding who actually runs this country. Spoiler alert, it's not you.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Capital and Power. I'm your name, and today we're diving into something that sounds boring as hell, but is actually the most important story about money and power in America. Campaign finance. I know, your eyes are already glazing over. And that's exactly what the people benefiting from this system want. They want you to find this boring, so you don't pay attention to how they're rigging the game. But here's why you should care. In 2024, $15 billion was spent on American elections. That's more per capita than any other democracy on Earth. And most of that money? It came from a tiny group of ultra-wealthy individuals and corporations who are buying access, buying influence, and buying policy. By the end of this video, you'll understand how the Supreme Court legalized unlimited political spending, why one billionaire's speech is worth more than millions of regular voters, the exact loopholes the ultra-rich use to hide their political spending, and most importantly, how this affects your life, your wallet, and your future. If you want content that follows the money and exposes how power really works in America, hit that subscribe button. We don't do surface-level politics here. We show you who's pulling the strings. All right, let's dive in. Elon Musk's masterclass in buying influence. Let's start with the most blatant example from 2024. Elon Musk. Elon spent nearly $300 million on the 2024 election. Most of it went through something called RBG PAC, a political action committee named after Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the liberal Supreme Court justice. Wait, what? Why would Elon Musk, conservative billionaire, use RBG's name? Because he was targeting liberal women in swing states with ads like this. Trump isn't actually anti-abortion. You can vote for him and still support women's rights.
Genius? Manipulative? Both? Here's how he did it. Step 1. Create a PAC with a misleading name, RGB PAC. Step 2. Funnel $20 million through his personal trust into the PAC. Step 3. Run targeted ads in Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, North Carolina. Step 4. After the election, dissolve the PAC, delete the website, erase the trail. By the time disclosure paperwork was filed, conveniently after the election, the damage was done. And this is all legal.
What did Musk get? Trump wins, and suddenly, Elon is appointed to head a new Department of Government Efficiency. He gets access to Treasury Department payment systems. He has influence over federal regulations affecting his companies, Tesla, SpaceX, X. He's literally in the room when major government decisions are made. $300 million investment, billions in potential regulatory benefits. Not a bad ROI. This isn't democracy. This is venture capitalism applied to government.
Watergate and the birth of campaign finance rules. So how did we go from one person, one vote to one billionaire, $300 million in influence? Let's rewind to 1971. There's this lawyer named Lewis Powell. He's defending cigarette companies against cancer lawsuits, and he writes a memo to the U.S. Chamber of Commerce warning that capitalism is under attack.
His solution? Corporations need to use political power aggressively. Fast forward a few months. President Nixon appoints Powell to the Supreme Court. Then in 1972, Watergate happens. 5 burglars break into Democratic headquarters. Turns out, Nixon's campaign was funded by illegal corporate donations, bags of cash, secret bank accounts in Lebanon, millions from big business. The public is pissed. Trust in government collapses. So Congress creates new rules. Limits on how much individuals can give to candidates, limits on how much candidates can spend, full transparency on all donations. A new agency, FEC, to enforce these rules. For a brief moment, money in politics is controlled.
The Supreme Court strikes back. But rich donors aren't happy. They sue, claiming these limits violate their free speech. The case, Buckley v. Vallejo, 1976. The Supreme Court makes a critical distinction. Giving money to a candidate can be limited because it could lead to corruption. Spending money independently on ads cannot be limited because it's free speech. This is where everything breaks. The court says, spending money to express political views is constitutionally protected speech. The government cannot limit it. On the surface, this sounds reasonable, but here's the problem. If I have $100 to spend on political speech, I can buy one sign. If Elon Musk has $300 million to spend on political speech, he can buy a national ad campaign, data analytics, targeted social media, and influence millions of voters. We both have free speech, but his speech drowns out mine by a factor of 3 million. Is that democracy? The 2010 decision that changed everything. Fast forward to 2007. There's a nonprofit called Citizens United. They make an anti-Hillary Clinton documentary. Under campaign finance laws at the time, they can't air it as a political ad without disclosing donors, so they sue. They claim this law violates their free speech. The case goes to the Supreme Court. And in 2010, the court drops a bomb. Citizens United v. FEC. The ruling: corporations and unions have the same free speech rights as individuals. Spending money in elections is protected speech. Therefore, corporations can spend unlimited money on political campaigns. Justice Kennedy, writing for the majority, says, the government cannot restrict political speech based on the speaker's corporate identity. Translation: ExxonMobil has the same free speech rights as you. What this actually meant: overnight, the floodgates opened. Before Citizens United, 2008, $338 million spent by outside groups. After Citizens United, 2012, $1.04 billion spent by outside groups. Today, 2024, over $4.5 billion spent by outside groups. And that's just what we can track. The Super PAC loophole. Here's how it works in practice. You, a billionaire, can't give more than $3,300 directly to a candidate, but you can give unlimited money to a Super PAC. The Super PAC can spend unlimited money supporting your candidate, as long as they don't coordinate with the campaign. Wink, wink. So you create a Super PAC, fund it with $50 million, and it runs ads supporting your preferred candidate 24/7. Totally legal, totally corrupting. How billionaires hide their influence. But wait, there's more. Super PACs have to disclose their donors, right? So we'd know if Elon or Jeff Bezos or the Koch brothers were funding them. Enter the dark money loophole. Here's how it works. Step 1. Billionaire creates a nonprofit corporation with a vague name. Americans for Prosperity, Better Tomorrow, whatever. Step 2. Billionaire donates unlimited money to this nonprofit. Step 3. The nonprofit doesn't have to disclose its donors because it's a social welfare organization. Step 4. The nonprofit gives money to super PACs. Step 5. Super PAC spends money on elections.
We see Better Tomorrow gave $20 million to Super PAC X, but we have no idea who actually funded Better Tomorrow. This is called dark money, and it's how billions flow through our elections completely anonymously. The 2012 election. Remember Sheldon Adelson? Casino billionaire. In 2012, he and his wife gave $150 million to various super PACs and dark money groups. Why? To elect Republicans who would oppose online gambling regulation, his competitor, support Israel militarily, his foreign policy preference, cut corporate taxes, his bottom line. Did it work? Partially. He didn't get his president, but he got access, influence, and favorable policy in multiple areas. $150 million well spent.
The real impact on regular Americans. Let's talk about what this means for you, a regular person who doesn't have $300 million lying around. Scenario 1. Tax policy. There's a couple, call them Liz and Dick, who own a box manufacturing company. In 2016, they give $8 million to super PACs supporting one specific senator. That senator wins. A year later, that senator slips a provision into the tax bill that saves Liz and Dick $40 million in taxes. $8 million investment, $40 million return. That's a 400% ROI. Meanwhile, you're paying your full tax rate because you can't afford to buy a senator. Scenario 2. Ambassadorships. Joe Biden, while campaigning, promised no appointments based on donations. Then he became president and appointed a $3 million donor as ambassador to Switzerland, doesn't speak German or French, a $2 million donor as ambassador to Iceland, major donors to Malta, Canada, etc. These aren't qualified diplomats. They're rich donors who bought cushy government jobs.
Scenario 3. Regulatory capture. Peter Thiel, PayPal founder, gave $10 million to help elect J.D. Vance to the Senate. Vance was polling at 1%. Thiel's money put him on the map. Now Vance is vice president. And mysteriously, the administration is very friendly to crypto, which Thiel invests in heavily, AI deregulation, which benefits Thiel's companies. Coincidence or return on investment?
The policy impact. Here's the most damning evidence. A Princeton study analyzed thousands of policy proposals over 20 years. They're finding average citizens have little to no influence on the policies our government adopts. But economic elites, they get what they want. This isn't democracy. This is oligarchy with democratic theater. Okay, you might be thinking, but how does this affect me? Let me count the ways. 1. Taxes. The ultra-wealthy use political donations to buy tax breaks. Example, the 2017 tax bill gave corporations a massive cut from 35% to 21%. Who lobbied for that? Corporations and billionaires who'd spent hundreds of millions on elections. Who pays for the lost revenue? You, through higher taxes or reduced services.
2. Healthcare. Pharmaceutical companies spent $375 million on lobbying and political donations in recent years. Result: the U.S. pays more for prescription drugs than any other country. Why? Because politicians won't pass price controls that would hurt their donors.
3. Climate. Fossil fuel companies have spent billions on political influence over decades. Result? Delayed climate action. Subsidies for oil companies. Regulations gutted. Cost to you? More extreme weather, higher insurance premiums, environmental damage. 4. Financial regulation. Wall Street spent $2.9 billion on lobbying and donations since 2000. Result? Weak regulations, no consequences for the 2008 crash, continued risky behavior. Cost to you? Your tax dollars bailing out banks, your retirement savings at risk. Every policy area you care about, student loans, housing, jobs, wages, is influenced by money in politics. The real math. $15 billion spent on elections, trillions in policy benefits flowing to donors. You pay for it through higher taxes, lower wages, worse services, environmental damage, health costs, financial instability. This is the best investment the ultra-rich ever make, and you're footing the bill.
Here's the good news. 72% of Americans, Republican, Democrat, Independent, want limits on campaign spending. This is one of the few things we actually agree on. The bad news? The people who'd have to fix it are the same people benefiting from it.
Potential solutions. 1. Constitutional amendment. Overturn Citizens United. Declare that corporations aren't people and money isn't speech. Requires 2/3 of Congress and 3/4 of states. Extremely difficult.
Public financing of elections. Government funds campaigns. Candidates can't take private money. Works in some local elections. Could be scaled up.
3. Disclosure requirements. Force all political spending to be transparent. No dark money loopholes. Doesn't limit spending, but at least we'd know who's buying influence.
4. Grassroots movements. Support candidates who refuse PAC money. Build political power outside the billionaire class. Harder, but possible. 5. You staying informed. The first step is understanding the system, which you now do. The second step is not letting them make this boring, not letting your eyes glaze over, because they win when you stop paying attention.
If this video made you angry, good. You should be angry. We live in a country where 72% of people agree that unlimited money in politics is corrupt, but it keeps happening anyway. Why? Because the people with the money like it that way. And they're betting that you'll find this topic too boring to fight back. Don't let them win. Hit that like button if you want more content that exposes how the game is rigged. Subscribe to Capital and Power for videos that follow the money and show you who's really running this country. Now, here's my question. Do you think Citizens United should be overturned? Comment overturn if you think unlimited spending is corrupting democracy, or speech if you think it's protected free expression. Let's see where this community stands.
Thanks for watching. Stay informed, stay angry, and I'll see you in the next video, where we're breaking down exactly how lobbying works and why a $100,000 donation can buy you a $1 billion tax break. Peace.